I wanted to be many things when I was a child, but by the time I'd reached my teens, I'd settled on becoming a nightclub DJ. I saved up my money and I bought some equipment. I learnt to mix and scratch and do all the other skills and tricks that DJs do. I started taping songs off the radio with these old broken down tape machines, and I was able to collect all these kind of broken down record players, and I started to learn how to do this thing, and I built my record collection, and I kind of honed my skills. I started DJing at some nightclubs, and by the time I reached the age of 19, my giddy DJ dream was starting to come true. This one particular night stands out in my memory. I'm standing in this club on this stage in front of hundreds of people who are waiting for me to do my thing. And I'm here because I've come runner-up in a big DJ competition. And I'm on the bill and my name is printed up on all the posters and everything. And I'm 19, this is all kind of quite exciting. But the other people that I'm DJing with, there's 4 of us that night, and the other 3 guys, they are serious contenders in this whole club world. In fact, one of them will go on to international success as a record producer. Another guy will start this really popular urban music band. And then there's me. It's scary and exciting all at once. But as I'm standing there on this stage, my DJ dream's coming true. I'm conscious that something isn't adding up. I'm still feeling restless. I'm still feeling empty. Even with all this kind of starting to happen for me, something is still missing. There's a point in the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus starts talking about choices. This is where he gives that famous line, "Do to others what you would have them do to you." What a simple, powerful, ethical guide to the little micro choices we have to make every week. Treat others the way you'd like to be treated. If you follow that, you shouldn't go too far wrong. But Jesus also talks about the macro decisions that we have to make in our lives as well, like the choice of an ultimate life path. And he brings the options down to 2. He talks about the broad road. This one's loud and crowded and popular. Everybody is on this road. This is the place to be. And while people are racing down this road and they're kind of hanging out the windows with the music blaring and everybody's ignoring the speed limits, people are crashing and burning as well. Jesus says the broad road leads to destruction. The other option is a narrow path. It's so small, it's so insignificant, you wouldn't even know it was there unless you'd been told about it. A tiny little gate leads onto it. If you walk this path, you're going to probably be lonely at times. You may even be walking alone on occasions. People on the broad road will be looking down on you, walking this narrow path, and they'll be scratching their heads wondering why you've chosen this, or maybe laughing at you. And Jesus says, it's the narrow path that leads to life. I don't think I realized it at the time. But looking back, I can see that's the choice I was facing as I was standing at that stage in that nightclub. Broad road, narrow path. Sheridan, which one will it be? When people ask me if I have come from a Christian home, I say, yes, no, it's complex. And the reason why it's complex is that while I was growing up, my parents were involved in one of the world's better-known religious cults. It was a strict group to be part of. You weren't allowed to celebrate Christmas or Easter or birthdays. Every week there were lots of meetings to study the magazines that were written by the inspired church hierarchy. The church had its own Bible with a few key verses changed to suit their teachings. And on the weekend, all the faithful dressed up in their Sunday best and went out to knock on doors and spread the word. There was a lot of good people in this church, a lot of people really trying to serve God, and yet a lot of them had a very heavy weight on their hearts. Had they ever done enough to make God happy? Had they visited enough homes, conducted enough Bible studies, won enough converts? When Judgment Day came and God decided who was fit for life and who was fit for destruction, would they be accepted or would they be condemned? They never knew. I remember as a 6 or 7 year old lying in my bed trying to work all this out, as much as a child can. I remember thinking to myself, okay, if I've got any chance of making God happy, I'm going to have to go and knock on people's doors and try and convert them. Now I'm a shy kid and I'm not really liking that idea. But then I thought, hang on a sec, if I've got this right, even if I did that for the rest of my life, there's no guarantee. And suddenly, God seemed a very, very unfair God, and life seemed like a very, very sick joke. My parents had been true believers in this church, even missionaries. But by the time I reached my teens, they had started to have some doubts. Because they'd been in it for such a long time, they'd been able to see these inspired teachings in the magazines change over time, sometimes even contradicting what had been written years and years before. They'd also experienced the judgmentalism that tends to happen in these kinds of groups. But at the same time, this was God's one true organization, and you couldn't doubt, you couldn't ask questions. You either believed what you were taught, or if you kept on asking questions, you faced the potential of being thrown out of the church. And you couldn't go and ask any other church as well, because they were all evil. You couldn't get any other opinion. You either stayed and you believed what you were taught, or you faced excommunication, or you went mad. The pressure was intense on my parents. It started to lead to despair. Their marriage suffered. My mum experienced depression. But despite all of this, my mum couldn't let go of her questions. And one question became central. Who was Jesus? Was he a man? Was he an angel, as she'd been taught? Or was he something else again? So here's what she did. Every morning when we went off to work and school, she'd go back to bed, she'd open up her Bible and she'd pray, God, show me who Jesus is. She was also a little bit naughty. She got a couple of other Bible translations as well, which she shouldn't have been reading. She wasn't allowed to, and she compared them to her church's translation. Do you know how long she did that for? 10 years. One day she came across a particular verse that read very, very different in the other translations to her church's translation. It was John 8:58. Now, remember when Moses asks God what his name is back in Exodus, and God says, I am? My name is I am. In John 8:58 and all the translations apart from my mother's church's translation, you find Jesus saying, I am. This is profound. Jesus is not just a man, he's not an angel. Jesus is God in human form. This completely revolutionized my mother's life. And she started to read other verses in a different light as well, like Romans 8. Now there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. She didn't have to worry about making God happy or not, because Jesus had looked after all of her sins on the cross, and now she was forgiven. This completely transformed my whole family. My parents ended up leaving that cult and losing all of their friends in the process. But now they knew who Jesus was, who Jesus is, and they had finally found their freedom. There are a lot of spiritual guides out there. In his sermon, Jesus says, choose which one you follow carefully. As much as there are faithful teachers out there, there are, unfortunately, false prophets as well. Wolves in sheep's clothing, ready to pounce and devour. Jesus says you can spot them by their lives and their teaching. My family knows how important this is. We've experienced the destruction false teaching can bring. So here I am in this nightclub with my DJ dreams and my empty heart, facing this decision whether I should choose the broad road or the narrow path. And this goes and happens with my parents, and their lives both fill with joy. Well, once I saw that, it didn't take long before I surrendered my life to the Jesus who had changed their life too. But what about my DJ dreams? That's all I wanted to do. After a little while, I realized that probably nightclubs weren't God's real plan for me, so I left the scene and I started praying for guidance for what God wanted for my life. And I prayed for months and months. I started wondering, what might God want to do with my life? I thought about the options. As a child, I'd always been interested in art, and I wondered whether I was supposed to go into graphic design. I had an interest in music production, wondered if it was that. Wondered if God wanted me to serve overseas, and if so, I didn't know where. Maybe he wanted me just to serve where I was working. I looked at opportunities there. The first glimmer of guidance that I started to get was when I heard about this Christian radio network overseas that was sharing the love of God, and for some strange reason, my heart started thumping, which was quite significant because I'd never had an interest in radio before. But I kept on praying, and again, I had no sign from the sky. I had no writing on the wall. There was no email from God to tell me which way I should go. 2 years of prayer later, I still had no clear guidance for my life. Then I came across these words of Jesus in this part of the Sermon on the Mount. Keep on asking, and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you will find. Keep on knocking and the door will be open to you. And that's when it hit me. When it comes to making these big decisions with God, it requires both prayer and action. I'd been praying for guidance, then I'd been going up into my room and waiting for an epiphany. What I had to do was go out there and knock. I had prayed but not acted. I had asked but not knocked. And so it was time to go and put some action behind my prayer. So I thought, well, if that thumping heart is some sort of sign that maybe I'm supposed to go into broadcasting, I guess I should go and ask somebody about it. So I wrote a letter to a guy named John, who was the leader of a big Christian radio ministry in Australia. At least I thought it was big. I was expecting he had these big offices with lots of studios and things. And I wrote this letter and I said, oh, hi, John. My name is Sheridan. I think God might be leading me into radio. And I know that if he is, I need some radio training and I probably need some formal Bible training as well. Do you offer anything like that at your offices? It took 2 weeks for me to get his reply. And during those 2 weeks, something strange happened. I had these two thoughts bombard my mind day after day. Sheridan, you should get in touch with the Bible College of Queensland and you should make contact with Family Radio. Bible College of Queensland, Family Radio. Bible College of Queensland, Family Radio. I didn't really know where I'd heard from either. I mean, the Bible College bit might have been somebody at our church went there. I had heard of Family Radio. They were a little Christian radio station, didn't even have a license. They kind of bought a bit of time from another radio station, and what I'd heard, I think it's fair to say, I wasn't impressed with. Wasn't the thing that I would be wanting. Bible College of Queensland, Family Radio, on and on, day after day. Then I get John's reply. He says, hi, Sheridan. It's great to hear what God is doing in your life. Actually, I'm just a one-person office down here. I can't offer you any training or anything like that. But if I were you, I'd get in touch with the Bible College of Queensland and make contact with Family Radio. That happened just a couple of weeks after putting action behind my prayer, and one of the most memorable afternoons in my life, I finally had some guidance. My life has taken all sorts of twists and turns since the events that I've just described to you. And there's so much more of Jesus' teaching that I'm yet to live out or experience. But I look back at this part of the Sermon on the Mount and I kind of go, you know, Lord, right from the beginning of me walking with you, I've experienced some of this. We all face moral choices in our lives. Do to others what you would have them do to you. We all have to choose which life path to take. Choose the narrow road. A variety of prophets will be calling out to us as we walk along our life path. Choose your teachers carefully. And when it comes to those big decision-making moments, pray and act. So reflect on this for a little bit or talk about it with others. What choice are you needing to make right now? And how are you putting action behind your prayer?